If somebody points a gun at you, maintain eye contact with the person. Eye contact makes it way harder for them to pull the trigger. Tips that can save your life. You should sleep with the door closed. Fires can leave your room almost completely untouched if closed. Most drunk driving deaths occur on Saturday night between 1 and 3 a.m., so avoid the roads during that time if you can. You can tell if somebody might be drowning if they don't move their hair away from their face while underwater. This is because they devote all of their power to saving themselves and if you're ever stuck in quicksand, lie down on your back because it's like floating on water. Your weight will end up making you float. You know, if you have to sleep outside when it's cold, find something to put between you and the ground or else you could freeze to death. Tips that can save your life. If you're on an airplane that crashes into water, do not inflate your life vest until after you've gotten off. The water filling up the plane could trap you inside. If you're outside in a thunderstorm and your hair starts to float, find shelter as fast as possible because you're about to get struck by lightning. If somebody gets stabbed, do not take the knife out if possible. If it stays in, it acts as a plug to the hole and it will reduce the blood loss. If you're in a burning building, breathe as close as possible to the floor. The toxic smoke rises while some air remains on the ground. Purple flags at the beach mean dangerous sea life is in the area. After subscribing, tell me. Did you know if you're being tied up, puff yourself out as much as possible so it'll be easier to wiggle out of. Tips that can save your life. If you ever need to break your car window, you can detach your headrest and use the metal end to break the glass. If you are near the ocean and all of the water suddenly recedes, get to some higher ground because that is most likely a tsunami. When crossing the street at night, turn on your phone's flashlight and point it towards oncoming traffic. If your car is skidding on a road, steer in the direction of the skid rather than against it so you avoid flipping the car over. Subscribe! Did you know? If you are choking in public, don't try and silently spit up your food. A lot of choking deaths are actually due to embarrassment. Tips that can save your life. If somebody breaks into your house and you use a bat to protect yourself, put a sock on top of it so if they grab the bat, you can easily take it back. If you are being chased by a swarm of bees, don't jump into a body of water. Bees will simply wait above the water to sting you. Your best bet in knocking someone out is to strike the side of their neck with a karate chop. This is because a blow to the neck requires a low amount of force. If a canker sore in your mouth isn't healing in about 2 weeks, go to a doctor as you might have oral cancer. Did you know? When walking downstairs, don't put your hands in your pockets. If you fall and don't have your hands out to grab a railing, it's not gonna be good. Tips that can save your life. Before going to sleep, keep your keys close by. If someone breaks into your house at night, you can press the panic button and scare them away. If a fire is getting out of control and you don't have an extinguisher, you can actually use baking soda to put it out quickly. Do not eat snow if you're in a cold area. Eating it actually makes your body a lot colder and could give you hypothermia. If you get caught in a riptide, do not fight against it to get to the shore. Instead, swim parallel to the shore to escape. Subscribe! Do you know? If you fall into water and don't know how to swim, do not panic. Hold your breath and let yourself bob naturally to the surface. Tips that can save your life. If you are being attacked or taken, try to scratch the person as much as possible so you have their DNA under your nails. When signaling for help, try to use anything reflective to help get noticed. Keep in mind, the further away the plane or boat is, the harder it is to hit. If a known diabetic person faints or starts getting dizzy, give them something with a lot of sugar in it as fast as possible. Do not be silent for a long period of time if you are hiking in the wild. Bears will most likely avoid you if you let them know of your presence in the area. If one does confront you though, do not run. Instead, you should fight back or play dead. Subscribe! Did you know? If you're hurt in a public place, direct help from a certain person because that has a higher chance than if you ask the whole crowd for help. Tips that can save your life. During an emergency, any liquor can be used as a sanitizer to disinfect wounds and can also ward off mosquitoes and other insects. If you're ever stuck in quicksand, lie down because it's like floating on water. Your weight will make you float. If a fire is getting out of control and you don't have an extinguisher, you can actually use baking soda to put it out quickly. If you are being tied up, puff yourself out as much as possible so it will be easier to wiggle out of. Did you know? Every phone is able to call 911 even if it is locked or doesn't have a carrier plan. Tips that can save your life. If you are ever stuck in a car, you can actually take the headrest off and use the metal part to hit the corner of the window so it breaks easily. No matter how thirsty you are, do not eat a lot of snow. Too much ice in your stomach can potentially kill you from hypothermia. Instead, melt it first and then drink it. If you're underwater and don't know which way is up, exhale a little bit to see where the air bubbles are going and then follow them. If you're being chased by a crocodile, run in a zigzag pattern because they do not turn well. Subscribe!
that could save your life. Make sure to keep your doors closed when you're sleeping. If there's a fire when you're sleeping, there's a huge difference between leaving your door open versus keeping it closed. If you're ever scuba diving and feel like you have to vomit, don't take the regulator out of your mouth. Just vomit straight into it, because the natural reaction is to inhale after you vomit. And if you were to do that, you would inhale a ton of water. If a service dog ever comes up to you without its owner, make sure that you follow it, as they could be bringing you to their owner who could potentially be in danger or need serious help. If you ever need to break a car's window, don't hit in the center. Make sure you aim for the bottom edges instead, because car doors are normally made out of tempered glass, which means they're a lot more fragile along the edges, therefore making it easier to break. If you have no band-aids and you need to prevent a small cut from getting dirt inside of it, you can always use super glue to help. Don't use super glue on bigger cuts though, seek professional help instead.
If you see money on your windshield, do not touch it. Get in your car and drive away immediately. This is a tactic used by criminals committing car theft. If injected with an unknown venom, don't ice the area. Most venoms become less effective when you heat the infected area instead. Do not eat day-old pasta that hasn't been refrigerated. It can be deadly. If anyone's ever being electrocuted around you, do not touch them directly. Carefully pull them by their belt or try to use an object like a broom or mop. If someone is passed out and vomiting, turn them on their side. If you leave them on their back, they can choke on their own vomit. If you have a knife or gunshot wound and you're about to pass out and you won't be able to put pressure on it, make sure the wound is pointed upwards to slow the bleed. If you're ever in a serious situation where you have AAA batteries but desperately need AA's, ball up some tinfoil and put it on the negative side of each battery where it connects. If someone's trying to suffocate you with a pillow by pressing it down on your face, just rotate your head to the side and there will be a small air pocket for you to breathe. If you crash into an electrical pole, immediately call the police and stay in the car. You could have downed an electrical wire and the wire will still be live. If you're forced to get out because of a fire or other threat, make sure both feet touch the ground at the same time and only take small shuffling steps. Do not drink the milk of brown coconuts. They contain oils that cause dehydration. You should only drink the milk of green coconuts instead. If you ever feel like you're gonna throw up, start humming. It's almost impossible to gag while you're humming. If wolves ever try to attack you, stand your ground. They'll only attack you if they can intimidate you into running away from them. No matter how thirsty you are, do not eat large amounts of snow. Too much cold ice in your stomach can cause you to die of hypothermia. Melt the snow, then drink.
You know, if you're ever stuck in quicksand, lie down. It's like floating on water. The dispersion of your weight will make you float. Here are some tips that can save your life. If you're on a plane that crashes into the water, don't inflate your life vest until after you've swum out of the plane. If you inflate your life jacket before escaping, you are much more likely to get trapped in the plane. A wagging tail does not always mean that a dog is friendly. Don't be silent for extended periods of time if you're hiking in the wilderness. Bears prefer to not get into confrontations and would most likely avoid you if you make your presence known. Sleep with your doors closed. Fires while you sleep can leave your room almost completely untouched if closed. Purple flags at the beach mean dangerous sea life in the area. If you get lost in the woods, stay where you are. The chances of finding the way out on your own are pretty slim and you're just creating a larger search area for the SAR.
See money falling from buildings, do not pick it up. Get out of there immediately. It's a way terrorists gather more people into a collected area. If you smell cinnamon in your drink, do not drink it. It's a cover up for poison. If you're in the woods with nothing to eat, the yellow dandelions are fully edible. If you're in a falling elevator, lay flat on your back and cover your face. If you see a white fuzzy spot on your banana, do not eat it. It's a spider infestation. If the air starts to smell like chlorine during a storm, it means lightning might hit the area you're standing in very soon. If you or someone else is eating a fruit and they complain about it tasting fuzzy or hairy, it might mean that they're allergic to it. If you need heat or a light, a crayon will burn for 14 minutes. If you find something in your house is on fire and you don't have a fire blanket or fire extinguisher, get everyone out immediately. Fire spreads extremely fast. If you get kidnapped, try to leave as many traces of yourself behind as you can. For example, leave bits of clothing or spit so a search dog could pick up your scent and find you. If you smell a fish smell in your house for no reason, 9 times out of 10 it means there's an electrical fire. Seeing red in your eye in a photo is annoying, but if your eye reflects white, you need to see an eye doctor. You could have eye cancer, which could eventually lead to your brain if not caught quick enough. When giving aspirin to someone having a heart attack, make sure they chew it. It works faster that way. If your car ever gets stuck on the train tracks, look for a sign on the crossing arms. This is the Railway 911 and has a number to call to stop traffic as well as your exact location. If someone is stabbed or punctured by a sharp object, leave it inside until help arrives. If you get caught in a rip current and dragged out towards sea, don't try to swim against it. Swim parallel to the beach until you get out of the current and then make your way to shore. If someone's trying to kidnap you, your chance of survival decreases by 50% once you get in a vehicle and even more once you reach the destination.